It is the road quote the glory right information website even my loose change that it did more right now. It's more days and I live for more nights. I can high your life with it feels more right here. Tell me what's wrong from right. The soccer with the energy can never die. But I told her be the light. I think everybody I gotta say. Hello. I'm just gonna admit a last few. Oh, I'm so excited for today. Hop on, let us see you if you can. Hello. All right. We are going to jump right into things and let our friends continue to join us as they feel called. I am so excited. Okay, so I want to take a quick second before I jump right into things today and welcome you, celebrate you for coming and taking a seat at this conversation. I am so excited to hear what comes up for you, what you learn, what you see differently. Please lean in. We are on no timeline today. Like, this is the only thing on my calendar aside from supporting myself and my clients. So lean in, get specific, ask questions, all of the things. Be with us. I am so excited. Get your water, your nightcap, your coffee, depending on where you are in this world. I am going to do a quick little introduction to me, and let me know in the chat while I'm doing so if you're new to my world, if you've ever joined us for anything, if you've watched our free trainings, our past ones that are in the Facebook group, which you all should have gotten a link to, if you listen to the podcast. Like, I just want to know how new you are, where you're at in the world, and what kind of work you're doing. So what is your line of work? I am going to be reading this and utilizing this to give you some better examples while we chat today, while we go over this conversation. So feel free to do so. Very excited. So my name is Kandice Lea. I am a mother of two. I have currently a 4 and an 8-year-old. I am a multiple six-figure business and wealth mentor, and I support my clients in doing business and life so differently, right? From a place of simplicity, richness, quality, freedom, and it feels so good. So I actually started my entrepreneurship journey 12 years ago with a in-person salon. So I was in the beauty industry. I had specialized in beauty and business, and I ran that for 7 years until my shoulders were like, girl, we're done. Like, it is time to invest into your well-being and follow your heart. And that's where it had led. In the meantime, we had also started a mechanic shop for my spouse at the time, and business was all I knew. Online business was very, very new. And as you can imagine, I have been through it. I have learned so much about myself. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read these. About myself, about this industry, about trusting myself and the way we do things and the way that we feel called to do things, and just like letting my projectorness come to life, honestly. So it has been a ride, and I am so excited to really free you today. So that's why I really want to invite you to bring anything specific. I want to hear what you're working through, what's going on. I want to hear what kind of business you do, what kind of clients you want to be serving. I want to hear it all so that I can give you the best examples possible. I truly believe in creating a high quality business that supports a high quality life. And I don't believe in compromise. I don't believe in compromising one for the other first, or hustling to have the other first. I don't believe in it. It's never something I subscribe to. And it's something that I'm really excited to free so many of you from. Oh my gosh, Belgium in the house. I'm just gonna get through this, but keep letting us know what's going on, where you're from, what your handles are. I love this. Everybody is getting intimate. I am here for it. Let's take a little gander before we get into it. Today, we're going to be going over the 6 really pivotal key points that I would say to really strongly focus on. Relatively new. I've been following you on Instagram for a couple of months. Okay, new to your world. Excited to play. From Billy, from Lennon. Hello, Caitlin. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Jessica, new here. I'm a dance studio owner. My background is PR. Oh, this is so good. Okay, Leah, let me know what you guys are working on. Courtney turning from Philly. I've been following you on social media. Yes, hello, Courtney. I'm so excited that you are here. Working through a pivot from health coaching to business coaching. Oh, do I remember that day? For myself, joining from Brussels, Belgium. I'm a coach using human design astrology for business. Yes, self-discovery. Oh, there's a couple. Okay. I love the human design. I love it. I love it. I can relate. I had a successful business for 14 years and new to the online space. Okay. Yes. Amazing. Hello, Bailey. Hello, Hope. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay. I hope that you guys are so excited. Let me know too. What are you the most excited to get out of this? Like, what is it that you are ready to walk away feeling or knowing? So excited for this journey. Have been following since the beginning. Yes. Just started my off-grid life homesteading. I love it. Yes. Oh, it's so fun to watch everybody just like come together and so many like-minded areas. I just so here for it. Okay. So like I said, it's up to you. If you want to have notes, it's up to you. I'm a talker and I love to give examples. So I would rather you be like in this and be really active in the chat because I'm going to be just as active reading it, than focusing on the notes because you are going to get a replay. So I think that will be incredibly supportive to be able to come back, sit with and take your notes then, but just like be here with us today, really feel into this and what you're normalizing. Like I said, we're going to be going over the 6 key points that I would say are pretty vital for creating 5K plus months with freedom. Okay. So I want you to remember, like, there is a million ways to make $1 million. We know this. What I want to share is through the lens of actually doing so with quality of life, like actual nourishment and freedom while you do so. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So as you guys know, be specific, ask the questions. I am here for it. My client's favorite part is when I give tailored examples. So like truly lean into this. Like I said, we may be here for upwards 2 hours. So get comfortable, lean in, and we will see where this takes us. So let's get right into number 1. And that is your beliefs and your mindset, what you're normalizing, you know, like creating 5K months to some of you is going to feel huge. To some of you, maybe you're like reaching for 20, 30, 40, 50, who knows where you're at. But I want you to remember that so much of this is going to start in your mind, like what you're actually allowing yourself to normalize. This was the biggest transformation for me when I first started, because I was like, I looked at it as, I put a timeline on it. Oh my gosh, this is going to be difficult. Oh my gosh, like, what do I have to do to get there? Focusing on the how instead of actually what I wanted, and just like sticking through my process. So often I have clients come into my world that are complicating and tying a timeline to what it means to actually have the income that they want. So much of this will start in your mind on your day-to-day basis, the normalization of what you want. So in that, I literally have like very few notes for each thing, just so you know. This is like really going to be a conversation. I just want to make sure we're hitting the key points, but so much of what you want is going to be started in what you choose to believe every single day. I always say, like, I want to see you come alive. I want to see you be fully free. And that starts in our mind, right? Free mentally and financially. And to be able to have that in a way that feels like quality, that feels like nourishment, you're going to have to anchor into your beliefs every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. It's just like a romantic relationship. It's just like love. You wake up and you choose it. You have to choose your vision. You have to be willing to choose something that other people possibly don't understand. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. We did a podcast on this recently. You really do need to start with your beliefs. This is such an important piece. Like when clients come in, we've got like an audio track that is in our side of our curriculums, because this is something you want to be tapping into. And this is where I believe that a lot of things will actually shift for you quicker than, you know, following a launch plan, which we're going to get into. So I have seen and heard it all, but you are always, and I feel like this is always such a fun energy to think about, you are always a few sales away from your highest cash month. I don't know if you guys have seen my posts, my stories when I talk about this, but that's really it. And we put all this pressure we create all these stories, all of these truths for ourselves on what it means to make a 5K month. All of this pressure to make sure we're selling every single day, to make sure that we're having 10K days. And oh my gosh, if I didn't make money today, I'm not going to meet my goal. And it's actually insane when you think about what we allow ourselves to believe and explore. You truly need a few good sales days in a month. So if you're coming in right now and this has been like a dominant belief and energy that you've been operating in, is of like this pressure and this need to constantly be selling, need to constantly be performing, but you're not feeling clear, you actually don't know where to focus, right? You're feeling scattered, you're feeling exhausted. This is your permission to allow yourself to slow down, to speed up for a second. Because one Instagram story could bring you 9 sales. Okay, we had a client last week, 1 post, 9 applications. We don't need to complicate this. What we do need to do is master what's needed and really make sure that we're anchored into what's important here, right? What's actually going to support the outcomes that we desire. So that being said, let me know how good that feels in your nervous system. And we basically want to be anchoring into learning what we need to do consistently so that you can then begin to compound that. And this is where 5K months can really quickly become, really simply become 20K months. Okay. So think about that for a second, how much we want to complicate what it's going to mean to have a 5K month. And then, oh my gosh, what's needed? How do I do that? Hi, Dana. What all the things to create a 20K month. But it's really actually about having a daily method of operations that supports the vision, the mission, and yourself, to do so consistently to allow the compounding effect to take place. But we're chasing and we're running around like squirrels and we're creating, and nobody's actually slowing down to say, hold up, is what I'm doing working? Is what I'm doing effective for what I want? So I really want you to sink into that and really be real with yourself with that. I'm going to check the chat soon. I'm so excited to keep it coming though. So think about that. How do you want this to feel instead? How do you want making your desired income? It doesn't have to be 5K. This is going to be like a big emphasis for today, but it could be whatever it is, 8K, 10K, 50K. Again, there's no limit. How do you want that to feel? How do you want that to look? Like, have you actually slowed down to ask yourself that and journal on that or explore it in conversation? And how do you want making money to feel? And how do you want to feel while you make money? Most importantly, how do you feel on the days you don't make a sale? Because that will determine a lot as well. Okay, I'm going to invite you guys into 3 truths that, like energetic truths, that I have shared with clients in the past, that we've shared on past trainings, that's in our vault, all the things, because these 3 are some favorites. The first one being, and I wrote these ones down, there are people in your audience right this moment, okay, waiting for the next level of you, for them to meet their level of readiness to say yes and go all in. And how often are we hiding ourselves from being fully seen as the highest version of ourselves, our next level? How often are we actually like riding the edge, and instead of owning it, we're like, let's lean back, let's be safe, let's just post the graphic, let's just, try and sell. And they're simply waiting to see that next side of you, all of you. They want to fully see you so they can fully desire to pay you. There is always somebody in your audience waiting for the next level of you, for them to be ready and be all in. Number 2, there are people watching every single day that you don't even know exist. You don't even know they're watching. They're not liking, they're not engaging, they're not watching my stories. Like some of you, I've never seen some of you interact. I've never seen you in my world yet, and that's why I was so excited to get to know you. There are people in your audience, in your world, in your orbit, wherever you're hanging out, that don't even know, you don't even know yet, needing you to own your truth and what sets you apart. And when you do, they fall from the clouds, they fall from the sky. You're like, How did this happen? Where'd they come from? Oh my gosh, 8 applications. What do I do with this? They're waiting for you to own your truth and what sets you apart. So take note of that. When was the last time I did that? Unapologetically. This is also, we're going to get really deep into this when we talk about like messaging and selling, but this is where so much of that attract and repel takes place, which is vital. Okay. If you want content that you can post and it actually sells for you and you get to lean back and receive that and run your business the way that you desire. Okay. The last one I had written here was my wealth, success, or as we like to call it, soulful richness, has everything to do with me, what I choose to embody and believe as my core truths, and my responsibility to choose, and the responsible choices I know I had to make to change my reality. So my wealth, my success, and my soulful richness has everything to do with me, what I choose to embody, what I choose to believe is true for myself, and the responsible choices I knew I had to make to change my reality. Your ownership of that. I find a lot of times when I'm talking with clients or we're talking about, you know, how to meet an objection, a sales objection, and I don't believe in objection handling on the phone or like trying to convince somebody, right? Like I'm just not here for it. I won't teach you how to do it. I'll teach you how to do it in your marketing so you can convert more. So in that, it's like, how often are you actually even pulling back the curtain to let them see you enough to see what you've had to walk through, to see how responsible you've had to be for yourself, right? And a lot of these little factors will actually support building the success you're looking for, building the wealth, building, right, this community, this mission. So let me know how this is landing for you. And we're going to get on to point number 2, but I'm going to open the chat. Most of my clients come through from referral. I don't want to master how to create content. Yes. Oh my gosh, Tammy, this could be a game changer for you. Like massive increase in sales. I love that perspective. I'm so happy. I still struggle with this, but I know that there's a shift currently. Last 2 years, I've been focusing more on myself and my mindset. I think it's going to be huge. Caitlin, I am so excited. I know you're in like a big life transition too, which is just so good. So good. 5K months in PR, done. 5K months in my dance studio, done. But coaching seems out of reach. We want to kibosh that belief. That is not true. But guess at some point it felt out of reach. Exactly. Yes. Until we've done it, it feels uncomfortable. And that's why, so you guys are going to hear me say normalization. Like, what are we choosing to normalize for ourselves? Because when it comes to like creating, you know, turning the unrealistic into your reality is another line I always say. But when it comes to doing that, it really is about creating safety in your nervous system, normalizing it for our very literal and logical mind that it's ours, that it's possible, that we can do it. But you can't see anything else as true. Like you truly have to be so unavailable for what you don't want. You can't entertain it in your mind. And when it does come to your mind, you have to acknowledge it and you have to be willing to not normalize it. It does not have to be normal. But if you're operating, let's put this perspective quick before we go to number 2, because I find often when we're in that like in between, I'll kind of catch clients. This is why I love Voxer, but I'll catch clients in like a belief operating from fear. And I'm like, how often, like how much of today have you spent in this feeling? And how much time have you allowed yourself to explore the feelings of what you want? Because we wobble and then we carry that energy of what we don't want, that fear, that limiting belief that, oh my gosh, you know, it feels out of reach, anything that's happening. Instead of being like, okay, I'm acknowledging that I'm going there and that's not really where I want to go. Take a breather, clear that out. What do I actually want? What do I want to feel? And when you start thinking about what you want, you go from feeling really blah to really alive. I'm going to assume. And if you can even like reflect back on when you're the most creative, when you feel the most alive, when you feel the most like bold in your brand and your messaging and your marketing, it's likely when you're thinking about what you want, when you're thinking about the vision you're building. So for me, even a lot of my clients have picked up on that. Like we love remembering what we're unavailable for so that when it comes up, we can remember that's actually over in this corner. We're actually not available for it. We're going to put it back where it belongs. We're going to go back on the tracks. Back on the tracks. What do we want? Where are we headed? Honestly, mirroring what I needed to hear. Thank you. I'm so glad. So glad. Just getting into coaching. I've dipped my toes in, but I want to make sure I can provide this service at my full potential without burning. Yes. I love this. Bailey, you are in the right place. This is so good. Okay, let's get on. Let's get on with it. Number 2, clarity. Okay, some of you are new, so I'm going to break this down because I share this a lot in my stories too. But my belief is that clarity will create certainty. And certainty, like think about it, it's that feeling of like, I just know, I'm not in my head. I don't have to second guess. Like posture is straight. I feel like my chest is out, my chin is up. Like I'm certain. You've all been certain about something, I'm sure. Certain about buying a shirt. This is like, let's bring it right down to the basics. Certain about a person you love, certain about buying a home, certain about a career change, certain about literally something you buy to hang on your wall. I don't know. You've been certain where it's like, I don't even have to think about this. Like, I know. Now, what if you could bring that to your business, to how you speak, to how you sell, to how you operate, to how you live, how you make choices, how you lead yourself, right? That certainty is then embodied as ownership. And your ownership, I share this all the time, is felt always. Always, on and off the screen. Your ownership is remembered. That's what people will remember you for. Your ownership is always felt. The lack of it is also felt. It's like that. I like to kind of share it through this example, but you'll have people in your audience, right? You guys have probably all experienced this to some extent. They've reached out, they've asked questions, maybe they picked your brain, but they're not pulling the trigger. Clients will be like, well, they reached out, but then they ghost me. Like, how come I can get to this point, but I can't get them to commit? Like, well, there's something they haven't received yet. There's a reason, there's something holding us back from feeling safe enough. We're going to get into this too, safe enough to actually invest. And 9 times out of 10, this is literally, you guys see my clients get really quick transformations. This is the biggest piece. The biggest piece is shifting you into your ownership, making sure you're really clear on that, because clarity creates certainty, which creates ownership. Making sure your beliefs are in alignment with that, making sure you know everything you need to know, where you need to focus, and from there, that your distractions are gone. So this is where earlier you heard me say the word responsible. This is one of those very, very responsible decisions and choices that you're going to have to consistently make to stay away from the distractions and keep your train on its tracks, because distractions are going to take you to that little corner of beliefs that we don't want to have, remember? Every single time. So the ownership is, we hear people call it the it factor. Okay. You hear people say like, oh, find your it factor, determine your it factor. You are your goddamn it factor. Okay. Like you are it, like what you believe, what you see, what you do, what you value, your approaches, what you've been through, what your story is, like you are it. And part of getting highly paid means being seen, which means being seen in that. Okay. Which is a process, which does require us getting uncomfortable, which does require us normalizing this, right? But it's what sets you apart. It's you. Okay. We're going to be coming back to ownership 2 more times because like that's how vital it is. Like it makes the quickest changes to results for my clients right away, right? Especially with how they feel while working, because you are no longer in a lack of certainty. You're no longer uncertain. You can't be embodying your ownership and still feel uncertain. The 2 will not happen at the same time. You cannot. So you really want to make sure, am I clear? And now am I taking that clarity and embodying certainty and putting the blinders up? Hiding stories that you find send you on toxic cycles. People that you compare yourself to, but maybe you don't want to unfriend them. Like boundaries. We're going to be coming to that too. Because I'm, as my clients and friends would say, the boundaries queen. Okay. But these are all vital parts. If you want to be showing up in quality, you want to be seen, you want to be highly paid, you want to do so effectively, simply, quickly. I want to be able to post a reel and get the applications I need. I want to know what to say in order to convert. I want to know what to say in order to warm up my audience. but I also want to do it without second guessing and comparing and being in my head and, oh, what should I share? And oh my gosh, like, how can I make it sound better? No, you want to be all of you. Okay. So clarity on everything in your business structure, what your vision is, what you're seeing through to the end. Like, what are you here for? Who you help, how you help them. Not just that, but one of my favorite ones is your perspectives. So you have an approach, right? We're going to get into this in the offer, but I have served numerous naturopaths, hormone coaches, nutrition coaches. I'm just going to use this kind of like niche as an example right now. Health coaches, okay? And they all had a different it factor. They all had a different perspective and approach. They all had been through a different journey. They all had different segments of the work that they do that uniquely lit them up. That was their ownership. So you want to slow down for a second. This is the slow down to speed up. What is that for me? Don't freaking worry about, I'm going to try really hard not to cuss today at all, but try, like, when was the last time that you slowed down to say and make sure I'm not going in, okay, well, what's she doing? Okay, well, okay, that's how she words it. Okay, what's she doing? How does she share? What's her Instagram look like? Like, nobody cares. Your audience doesn't care what she's saying. They're not here for like a regurgitated post that she made that you then tried to like rinse through yourself. Like, they're not here for that. Your audience does not care what the other people in the interwebs are doing. They care what you have to say, what you believe, what you do, what you stand for, what you've been through. That's what they care about. So slowing down to speed up and asking yourself, who am I? What do I believe about the industry I'm in? What do I stand against? These are all really good prompts to like support your ownership. What have I been through? What is my unique mission with the line of work that I'm in? If you guys want to share like any examples of what line of work you're in and like where you're feeling held up on that, I am happy to dissect that. It's like my favorite. But that's a really big piece. Like, your ability to truly own what you're doing creates instant safety for your audience. What do we need to invest? Safety. Now more than ever, you guys are going to notice this. Like, you're going to notice a lot of shifts in the industry coming up. That's a really big piece that is helping clients build such awesome momentum right now, is bringing safety back into it. You won't be able to just like share the vibe and share like, DM me and let's go as much as we were at one point. People are truly looking for value. We value as human beings, right? I didn't like create this free event to come like throw Kleenexes in the air with you. Like, we're getting into shit, right? I did it. We're like actually like doing the work. Okay. We're pulling the curtain back. That's what they want. They want value, but we have to create safety first. And that's going to be a really big piece. So really take note of any of that. You can even timestamp this for like how long, if you guys want to come back to the replay to this specific part, but your ownership is big, and we have like its own little section. So don't worry. Okay. Been feeling the call to offer coaching, but not 100% sure if it would work with my offerings. Yoga, mindfulness, nutrition. Yes. For women who, okay. Postpartum. So Hope, when I came online, I was actually like in mindful nutrition. So that was for moms. Like, that was where I started when I came online. That's what I had. It's just where I was. It was what I was obsessed with. It turned out I didn't enjoy teaching it. I just enjoyed having the knowledge and living it. But there are so many ways that you could offer that. We're going to get into the offer next. That's actually the next segment, but I wouldn't overthink it. Instead, my prompt for anybody who wants to create something is, what do they need? So if you're feeling called to create a coaching offer, which I feel like you're going to have a lot of insight here in a few minutes, it's not about questioning, can I? It's about, okay, well, what would they need? And how would I deliver it to support what they need? No, I don't believe anything is off topics when it comes to the online world anymore. Right? I feel like with COVID, like basically any business became virtual in some extent. Okay. So like really think about that. I have acupuncturist clients. I have, you name it. I feel like we have supported clients. Nothing is off the table. It's more so about your perspective in how you deliver it and then owning how you deliver it, which is why I think it's best for you to sit with the question of what do they need from your beliefs and your perspective, because then you can speak into it. This is exactly why I created this program this exact way, because it's actually results driven. It's not just a bunch of info thrown into a container because I felt like it needed to be 2 weeks long because everybody around me is doing a 2-week container. No, this is like a results driven space where they can come in, feel safe, and actually experience a result, a transformation. So if you could have an offering that fused all three, mindfulness, nutrition, and yoga together, you could have individual containers for women that want to have individual support in each of those areas. There's so many ways that you could do it. I'm assuming that you probably already have some like downloads happening for you in that area, but there's much available to you in this space within that. That is for sure. I'm going to tell you what I mean. Exactly. How does that not go together? Yes. And yeah, we're going to get into the program part, the offer, which is going to help a lot because I feel like I have very unique views about creating coaching offers that become assets and that actually for you. It's normal to doubt yourself. I think that it's normal, but that's where it's like, okay, where can I build more self-trust? Because the doubt's coming from a lack of self-trust. Okay. So trusting yourself a little bit more every single day, just keep moving the needle, doing the things, right? Follow through with little habits. I actually just did a podcast on this too. I have a similar issue. Can't translate the self-confidence I have in my role as a dance teacher into my role as Now, is it a lack? Jessica, I feel like I need you to go a little deeper. I can't translate the self-confidence I have. So is this the confidence you have in yourself to bring that forward into your marketing, into your messaging, into like your brand itself? If so, I would honestly work on seeing yourself, and I can share an exercise on that, and really getting clear, certain, and embodied in your ownership. I would also, I just feel called to make sure that you're not absorbing other people that are in the life and empowerment coach space. If you are going there, then feeling less than. I have some imposter syndrome because I've never been business coach before, even though I matched my full-time income doing health coaching. So that, Courtney, that's what you own. That's your story. Remember what I said, like people aren't coming to your space on the internet to be like, oh, what's everybody else in your world doing? Like they don't give a shit, or they be in their world. If they're in your world, they want to hear your stuff. They want to hear what you believe, what you do, what you know, what you've seen. They want to know it all. And we call it, okay, so when it comes to selling, I feel like I'm just like jumping from segments today, but we're going to get through all 6. When it comes to selling, I believe in looking at it as a puzzle picture. Okay. Like my son right now has like this, I have to leave it on the bedroom floor. He says it literally, I can't pick it up. Puzzle. Okay. All these pieces come in to complete the puzzle picture. Your content, every post, every reel, every story, every live, trying to think of anything else, every TikTok is a puzzle piece. But if you're regurgitating the same things, you're giving them the same puzzle piece. If you aren't owning who you are, what you are, there's always going to be missing puzzle pieces in the picture of them being like, I'm ready. Okay. The completed picture is when they're like ready. They're what you would consider a hot lead. They're like, I'm in, like, I'm ready. I have had every need that I need to feel safe in order to move forward met. I feel clear. I trust you. I feel safe. I'm activated. Let's go. So your story, what you've done, what you see, what you believe are all going to be really, really important pieces to that puzzle picture. And that's all I would worry about. So if you're dealing with, if you find that the imposter syndrome is holding you back, I would say to really make sure you're taking the time every single day to see yourself. I would honestly, I should have invited my clients on here because they would be laughing. I don't know how many times a day, let alone a week, that I'm like, have you slowed down to see yourself? They're like, oh, no. Right. And they do. And it's like, holy, like that just like everything has shifted. Taking time every single day to activate and see yourself. Okay. So I do this in a journal. Some of my clients do this during tapping. Some of my clients do this while they're driving. Some of my clients just talk it out loud, or they reread a few days ago's journal entry if they don't have time or just like simply don't want to journal that day. Everybody's different. I'm not putting you in a box. You don't have to do it one specific way, but make sure you see yourself. So what does this look like? How do I do this? Honest, this is slightly different to everybody, but taking the time to see your vision. Who are you as your highest self? Who are you when you close your eyes and you visualize your dream day, your dream life? We have an audio like activation that clients listen to while they do this. Who are you? I am a blank. I like see yourself, recognize yourself in that. I am so damn good at helping my clients actually simplify what it means to make wealth and freedom. I am like, what are you? And put that into your posture. Not just like, oh, I am a successful coach. No, like, who are you? See yourself. We like we often want to be seen, like we're human beings. We want to be seen. But we want to be seen by the industry. We want to be seen by people. We want to be seen by our audience. But if we're not taking the time to see ourselves first and recognize ourselves, the ownership won't be the same. So they won't feel you. Right? As emotional beings, we need to feel something. And so you having that posture, I almost said that structure, you having that posture, you having that certainty is going to be felt the moment you pop on camera, the moment you're typing something on and off the screen, remember? But if you go days without seeing yourself and recognizing yourself, you're going to start to look for that externally, which means you're going to start to compare, you're going to start to consume, you're going to start to question. That will also be felt. So let me know if that helps. It really is about seeing yourself and not worrying about what anybody else is doing. See yourself, see your vision, see what you love, see what you want, see what you're building, see what sets you apart. Say the things to yourself that you wish that someone would jump in your DMs and say. Right? Be it first. I'm focused on mental health, mental wellness. I feel like I need to build more trust with my followers, but get scared or scatterbrained when I need to share. I like that, the puzzle pieces. Yes. So then go back to the little prompts kind of we did earlier, Caitlin, when it's like, okay, well, what's my journey? Who am I? What do I believe? What do I believe in? What am I building? What do I value? What sets me apart when it comes to mental health, mental wellness? What's something you see other people doing that you don't agree with? Do you have a unique approach? You guys know every single thing I share basically goes against the grain of most of my peers. I had to get really okay with that. I had to get really okay at sitting at my mastermind and knowing that I have a completely different approach than all of my peers. And when you can sit there and own what you do so boldly, you will be very highly paid for it. I have a similar feeling of imposter syndrome as a business coach translating to the online space. Yes, even though my previous business offline. I'm all about helping women create freedom and monetize their gifts and talents. So, Tammy, you would own what you're all about. Own your values, own your beliefs, own this transition. Why did you want to come online? What did that get to mean for you? And what are you excited about what that will mean for them? Imposter syndrome, we can't just like kick to the curb. I really believe it is a piece of normalization, normalizing what you're building, normalizing everything that you're desiring so it starts to feel less discomforting. But it's also a big component of recognizing and seeing yourself so that you stop looking for it externally and feeling less than. Let me know if that's resonating and helpful. Should we get into the offer? It's gonna be good. This is like one of the parts that I would say set us apart so differently, which makes me very eager to share it with you guys so you can have a fresh perspective. Yes, I have a different opinion on certain things. Controversial, don't we all? Working on getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love this. Caitlin, start recognizing that. I would start seeing that, start really recognizing that in yourself, like journal about it. Journal about what you would share, how you would share it, how you would say it. I already have to run, but can't wait to watch. Ah, okay, Jessica, enjoy your day. You guys can keep it coming too. I'm just bringing up my little notes in my massive water jug. Okay, so what do I believe when it comes to offers? Because I truly just don't really vibe with, okay, so when I created my coaching business, the first 9 months I spent living on calls. I was absolutely exhausted. I questioned what I was doing and reached a point of resentment. I had unmet needs, right? Where's the freedom I wanted? Where's the freedom I created this business for? Why am I in my head? Why do I not feel good? Why am I burning out? Right? All the things that I wanted that were going unmet because I was operating my business out of alignment to me, but because I had brought myself online and believed that there was one way. Right? And so as my mentor would suggest things and teach certain perspectives, I ignored myself. I ignored my truth, therefore ruining my relationship with self-trust. And so when I burned it all down and rebuilt it in a way that actually made sense inside of my brain, especially with my life theme of being here to free myself and others, literally my human design theme, this was huge. Being able to be like, we're going to close the door because we're actually completely unavailable for this life anymore, and build it how I see it. Build it how I desire it. And seeing that through changed everything. That was when I have a post coming out, but it was like I was stuck at like 150K a year, burned out. I was like, what? I should have just kept the salon. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have my moments of that. And burning it down within 9 months, we had reached 300K. And at the end, I ended the year, that following year, at 470. My human design, I'm a 2-5 projector, self-projected, if you can't tell. So anyways, little bits about me. So when I did this, I was like, okay, like, let's run with this. Here we go. And everything locked into place. It was so much about my leadership, my ability to trust myself, and my ability to actually see it through responsibly. And so the prompt I gave you guys, what's actually needed? Suddenly everything becomes simpler. Okay, well, this information is needed. This awareness or this mindset shift is needed. This amount of calls or access point is going to be needed in order for them to see the result through. And you stop complicating it. You stop comparing, you stop second guessing. Okay, now we're going to get into it. So I believe in high quality transformations. We call them assets. You guys know my business does not require me to create new offers to create income. It does not require me to create new offers to have a cash injection. I absolutely hate seeing that language around social media. And I'm really sorry if that triggers you, but I think it's ridiculous. Everybody wants to chase the money, but nobody wants to actually slow down and create something consistent and sustainable. And I have clients coming to me with, 30,000 followers and really solid content, but the inability to create 10K month after month after month. And it's because we get into this habit. What's she doing? What's she posting? Ooh, that gives me an idea. I could do this. No. What is your business? What are you seeing through? And what do you have to do today? If you're going to cut your work hours into like a fifth, first of all, the moment you stop doing that, and you're going to have more energy and more quality of energy behind, a little more oomph behind what it is you are here to share, right? Selling the offer you have to offer. I scaled to $500,000 with one offer. And that's like mind bending to so many people because they're like, well, what do I do with this offer and this offer and this offer that I have? And they're barely able to have $1,200 months. You don't have to be busy creating. I don't also want to confuse anybody. I'm not against having offers or creating offers or being creative, but I would rather take that creativity and that certainty and that ownership and create content that converts for me time and time and time and time and time again, so I can be living and serving. So I'm not worried about like, oh, what offer are we launching now? And like, oh, what do we have to plan for? What outline do I have to create? Like, I don't want that. My notes for today, it's literally one Google sheet with bullet points to make sure I didn't miss the nuggets I wanted to give you. I wanted to be here with you. So I feel like I'm all about the one offer too. Totally simple, focused, and highly transformational. I love this. Yes. Okay. So we want to build a strong asset. For me, what did this look like? This looked like I knew I didn't want to be following a launch cycle. I knew I didn't want to be chasing a launch cycle. I knew that if I had to follow some sort of launch plan, I was literally going to make myself sick. Okay. So maybe it's the 2-5 in me, maybe it's a little freedom fighter, I'm not sure, but I was not about to be boxed into some sort of rule when it came to actually doing the work that I wanted to do. So I really believe in, I'm going to read all of these guys soon, guys. I really believe in what we call a revolving door method. Okay, so creating a high quality transformation with a revolving door. What does this look like? It doesn't require open and close launching, and it's set up to be delivered. You guys have heard me say the word delivery, delivered in a way that clients can come in at any given time. Six-figure coach is revolving door. We have people come in every single week at different points, different seasons, all of the things, and they come into a cohort that's actually going to be aligned for that, right? Currently, we've got 2 on the go, and it just makes sense. It's in the best support of the client. Okay, what does this client need? Which would be the best space for them? Okay, and which would be the best, in my case right now, little cohort for them, depending on where they are, where they're in the world, because time zones, and what they need around them. And putting them there. And being responsible about your client experiences. You don't have to just keep throwing things out there to create them in order to build a community or create sales. Like, create a high quality client transformation. You'll have clients for years. I have clients that have been in my world for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Like, a good chunk of our yearly income is from referrals and resigns. Like, what would that mean for you if you got to slow down, stop fixating on what you could create to get the next sale? I think is the most insane thought, and actually focus on your quality of client experiences, the way that you support them, the way that you help them get results, and the way that you're taking care of yourself. Okay, this really resonates. Building something really good and sustainable and make it my legacy. Yes, and execute my creativity and my marketing instead. Absolutely. And like, that's where your marketing is better, or your creativity is better off anyways. And if you want to teach something, go freaking live. Like, if you like this and like felt like this huge urge, I'm like, I just like want to talk to people. I want to have a conversation. I want to sit down with you. I want to like shed a light on this spot of the internet that so many are avoiding and don't want to go to, get triggered by. I'm so uncomfortable. Okay, so that's what I did. But I haven't done this in 2 years. I'm not kidding. I haven't done a free event in 2 years. And my business was fine. This last year of my life, I became a single mother of 2, separated from a partner of 13 years. My entire world was like, but my business was solid. I got to support my nervous system. I got to heal. I got to mend a slightly hurt and shattered heart. I got to support my clients with quality, many of which would have had no idea what was going on in my life, because nothing changed, because everything was solid and supportive. I had built something that would support a life, a wealthy life, so that when life happens, and I'm not saying that should happen, but when anything in life happens, we've all experienced something that has rocked us, flipped us for a couple of weeks. Your business should not have to suffer because of that. If you're building something that's for both. Let me know if that makes sense. That's what I have. I can't do launching either. So much resonance here. Yes, yes. Tammy, I'm so glad that you are. I feel like you just entered my world, right? Yes. Welcome. I had an 80% retention rate in my previous business and now wanting to master this one. Yes. So my belief in the way we teach clients is you want to shoot for at least 60%. If you're not there, we want to look at the delivery, the client experience, what might be missing, what they might be needing. Because it's big. It's really big. Even just knowing the fact that you can create multiple 6 figures from re-signs and referrals alone should have you really activated in just thinking differently about what you're creating and how you're creating and delivering it. So with our offers, or the way that we would teach offer delivery and structures. Let me know if you have specific questions about this, or even if you are working on offer, have an offer you want to pivot. Literally, this is where you should get very specific with me so I can give you tailored support. You really want to remember that consumers crave safety in what they're investing into. They value value. And if you are so certain about what you create and you're like, I actually know that this is in the best interest of the result and what they need to get the result that I want to help them create inside of this container. And this could be in any single line of work. There's always an outcome that they want and that you want for them. If you're certain that you've actually seen it through from a really intentional and responsible lens, instead of, well, she created a 3-week program, how can I do this in 3 weeks? I like the idea of that. Like, no, like this is actually something that is set in place for a specific reason. And you can feel strong and certain about that. That's going to be felt in your marketing. That's going to be desired. Okay. And they come in with this like, oh, I can land here for a while. It's different. Not only that, but they approach it differently. Okay. I'm not sure how far some of you are in your business journey, what you've invested into, but most of my clients that when they come to me, they've invested into, you know, a little group program here, a little live thing here, like little things here and there, which is fine. But they're like, I couldn't land there, you know, like, oh, I got a little nuggets. Some of it didn't feel aligned the way I went. There's no actual integration. There's no putting it into place in alignment to them. Therefore, they're constantly chasing the next offer, the next thing. Okay, well, I still am not ready. I don't feel clear. I'm still not converting. I'm still not getting sales. My offers still aren't making me free. I feel like I'm stuck to my computer. Soul biz. Yeah, I love this. I love it. Offer 3 or 6 months, then month to month after that. Oh, okay. Is that what you mean, Tammy? After is month to month? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love that. And just making sure it's in a structure that aligns with you. That's the biggest piece. So a lot of clients so when we sit down, we do like an intensive, when clients come into 6-figure coach, and that's where we really map everything out and like timeline, delivery, prices, you name it. And you really want to be able to sit back and look at the offer you're about to create. Is it set up in a way that supports my lifestyle and the outcome that I want to help them create? Okay. So for my clients, it usually looks like having a set day where they have calls for that container. 6-figure coach. Tuesdays are my 6-figure coach days. I know that. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to second guess it. I know Tuesdays, that's the calls I'm on. I'm usually on a max of 4 calls a week between 6-figure coach, one-on-one clients, and Freedom Society twice a month. It's simple. It's incredibly effective. And it works for me and it works for them. So it's about sitting back and actually looking at all of how, not just what the offer is, how is it delivered? How is it set up in a way that supports me? And how can I sit into that? I get stuck on how to deliver the offer. So go back to the prompt of what do they need? What type of support do they need? What type of access would they need? If you were going through the offer, because usually we're teaching something that we've likely walked through ourselves or are very educated about, what would you have needed? Me being in the business world, and especially with the types of clients that come into 6-figure coach, having that weekly access and time with me on a call to be able to like actually create an action plan for the week and dig into what's been coming up outside of Voxer was incredibly important. That's something I highly value. And so that's something we did. I have some clients. Okay. So let's say 2 different hormone coaches, and I think they both have bi-weekly calls inside of their, we're going to call it revolving door program. Okay. Their main program, their signature process. And they're like, that's what they need. Like, they don't actually need a weekly call because it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks for them to make the changes with nutrition, make the changes with stress relief, all of the things, nervous system regulation. I'm like, okay. And then the beautiful part is, as you're creating an offer, don't get stuck on the delivery of it to the point where you're like paralyzed, because as a responsible leader, if it's not working, you see a better way, you're going to pivot it. 6-figure coach used to be 11 weeks. It's 13. 10 weeks. It's 13. Okay. So I was like, you know what? Those extra weeks would make a really big difference. So it's all about how you choose to responsibly lead yourself and trust yourself, self-trust, to make those changes as soon as you see them needed. Okay. I just want to make sure I touched on everything that I want to. Yes. So an important note and something, let's just kind of recap over. If you're similar to me, you value the quality in which you get to be and do and serve from, you want to make sure that you're delivering in a way that supports that. I broke this down for a client in Voxer yesterday also, and she was like, I'm looking at my schedule and it's a mess. Every day is so different. Every week is so different. I have no time to sit down and batch content. And I was like, okay. So she's been in 2 weeks and I'm like, we're not even open for that. We're not like that. We're not even available for that. I want you to make a list of every single thing you have to do on a weekly basis. And we're going to put beside that what time of day you would feel the most energized doing that task, because we're responsible and we're going to do the shit we have to do because we said we do it. But we're also going to be like, when would work best for this? What would actually make the most sense instead of running around like a chicken without a head? So because of that, we can look at it and put that into place in a way that's going to make sure that she feels nourished doing the task and the task is getting done and it's in support of her bigger mission. So one of her things was, she's like, my one-on-one clients get a call link and they get to book the calls. And I was like, so your clients control your schedule. And I mean, I love every single one of you and I love all of my clients, but I created my business so I could create my own schedule. And I want the same for my clients as well. So the idea of having clients be able to book their own just like wasn't going to work for me. Right. And so we kind of like, we worked through it in Voxer and she's like, holy, I can't believe what a difference that feels like to know, like, I'm going to have set days for certain things and I can shift this and know that it's going to be in the best support of me and the best support of them. So she messaged, we haven't finished the conversation, but this morning I got to read and she's like, they all were so pumped that I changed our call days and times. I'm like, of course they were, because she was coming up with resistance, right? Of like, oh, why am I feeling exhausted? Why am I feeling like I don't want to go on these calls? It was because it was out of her control. So this is the reminder too, like however your offer is set up, you actually get to structure in a way that's going to support you. It's going to support them. Let me know if you have any further questions on that. I focus on mindset, energetics, embodiment, and business, also in alignment with the vision, value, and social media. I'm in the stretching and normalizing phase, I suppose, of this. Yes, which is so good, especially because yes, when you're coming online from in person, right, Tammy? Like that's what I mean. I remember having to get so invested into learning what I didn't yet know. So good. And normalizing an entirely new way of doing things. So this comes back to our first topic, right? Around our beliefs, around what we're choosing to normalize for ourselves. But like you get to choose to normalize how you want your day-to-day to look, how you want to feel inside of these containers, how you want these containers to feel for your clients. It's huge. I struggle with having a tot at home with me and baby due any day now. Oh my gosh, knowing how to balance the time as a stay-at-home mama, working mama. So this is where I strongly, okay, remember how we talked about clarity, which creates certainty, and then you have your offer. So you know who you are, you're in your ownership, you know what you do, who you are, what sets you apart, you know the mission you're on, you're connected to that, you've removed the distractions, your train is on its tracks. You have this vehicle, offer, okay, this asset to help you build the outcome that you're looking for, the income, the freedom. So from there, you have everything in place. Now it's a matter of what do I need to do on a daily basis? Okay, your daily method of operations. Talked about this yesterday or 2 days ago, maybe. Your daily method of operation. So Hope, what I have every client do, what needs to happen on a daily basis. Okay, so for me, my daily method of operations, let me make sure I get this right. Self-care. So my red light, journaling, gym, whatever it is that day, something to nourish me. Make sure that I'm overflowing. Okay. From there, it's serving clients. So Voxer and any calls. It's making sure I popped on stories and that we put a post out if we're posting that day. I, at this point, have everything kind of batched and my assistant does our posting to the feed. I just do the creation. And that's it. DM conversations, like sales, seeing it through would be the last one. And oftentimes when clients come into our containers, it's like, oh, well, what else am I going to do? I'm like, live. Should try it, right? Like actually live. What is sitting here doing nothing doing for your business or yourself? Are you actually feeling creative when you are so drained from staring at a screen and putting this intense pressure on yourself to keep doing? Changing my whole paradigm, but I love it. I am here for it. I love it. Yeah. It's something to truly think about. Yeah, you could go live. Yeah, you could write an email. Yeah, you could, there's all these, you could learn how to do a funnel if you want funnels, but do you want funnels? Like there's so much I want to live. Oh my gosh, this like makes my heart so happy and so sad at the same time. Yes, girl, live, like live. And this is why I feel like so many need to stop avoiding the structural side of things. Everybody wants to be feminine, but everybody wants to avoid the masculine, and the masculine holds the feminine. So what are we doing? Right? Instead, we're like operating under survival mode because we've been chasing, and it's toxic. If you want solid freedom and solid wealth, you need to have a solid business, solid foundation, something that's holding you. And like we said earlier, staying out of that little corner that we've placed over there, what we're unavailable for, and keeping our train on its tracks will deeply support that as well. Anybody could go down rabbit holes and start comparing and second guessing and really busy themselves. Anybody. And it takes a lot of self-leadership in order to not. So that's what I hope, back to your question, that's what I would do, is make a note of like what would have to happen in a day to move the needle in your business, serve the people in your life, and serve yourself. Okay. We call it the daily method of operations. We've got like, yeah, like a little process for that. Okay. I'll leave it open. You guys are welcome to ask more questions about offers as they come up, but we're going to get into the unapologetic ownership. Okay. So we've talked a lot about ownership, and you guys, I feel like, are starting to see why it's so vital and how it really isn't about, you know, jumping around and chasing your it factor and trying to self-discovery so far deep that you find your it factor. Like, you are the it factor. Let's simplify this. Okay. I am the it factor. I am what's desired and paid. But am I allowing myself to be seen? Why am I not? Those are questions that I would write down and explore. What boundaries do I need in place? Okay. So if you know, this is pretty common. If you know that on the days that you sit, you know, we've all done, we like fold into the couch and we're scrolling social media and we're just like happy-go-lucky until we just feel like crap. And we're like, oh, why did I do that? If you know that that does that, set some boundaries. If you know there's specific accounts or content that sends you down a rabbit hole, makes you feel less than, makes you feel like an imposter, makes you feel like you aren't them, so you can't have what they want, they have to go. You have to be responsible. You have to lead yourself in these situations. No coach, no mentor, no plan can save you from that. You have to discern those things. You have to be responsible. And when we catch that, we want to go back to the point number one of this call. You want to be willing to go back into, okay, that's right. Who am I? What do I believe? What do I desire? What do I want? What am I building? And watch how quickly you can shift that. My favorite way to do that is through journaling. Like, I am definitely probably the self-projected piece of me. Like, I need to bring that out. But if you can sit there and think it, like, find, if you can dance with it, somatic release a little bit, like whatever you can do, find something that supports you to bring you back on the tracks every single day. Okay. Because your unapologetic ownership will be where you do all of your attracting and repelling. Every piece of content that you have is going to reflect some sense of ownership, even if it's a value-centered piece of content. If you're actually like teaching and giving value on a specific point, let's say in your business, there's still going to be that sense of ownership, like, of this is exactly what we teach our clients, or this is exactly what I've done to support myself and having the outcomes that I have, or whatever it is, because you are the representation of your work. Another truth my clients absolutely love embodying is like, you are the manifested outcome of what your ideal clients want. You are. That's why they're invested in following you. I also believe like every follow is an investment. If someone is invested into like being in your energy, being just open to hearing what you have to say, if they've followed, then that's an investment. And that's something that I wouldn't just take lightly. Something to truly anchor into. If you have 100 followers, like that's huge. If you have 100,000 followers, that's huge. Like every follower is, pardon me, something to be celebrating. Because they're invested into you. They're not invested into whoever you're watching and consuming and making you second guess yourself. So you want to come back. Who am I? What do I believe in? What do I value? What is my unique approach? What has been my process through whatever it is I teach? When was the last time I shared any of this? When was the last time I gave value on the area that I want to do work in through my lens, through what I see and what I believe? What sets me apart in the industry, in this line of work? What triggers you in this line of work? You guys know I'm good at that one. Like all of it. How can you support attraction and repelling? The more you own, the more you'll have people in your DMs being like, you're staining my brain. I can't stop thinking about you. I need to do this work. So when it comes to content and marketing, which we're going to get into now, I love batching. And I love so stories I create every single day. Those are obviously, you guys see them. I don't need to explain that. But our content is always batched. I'm always like 2 to 3 weeks ahead in my content. Every day, Mila, my assistant, just like copy, paste them. Okay. So what do I do in order to get into that state? It's more about getting yourself seen by yourself, recognizing yourself, because we're not expecting anybody else to do it. Therefore, we're attracting the purest relationships and energetic matches. Getting yourself so hyped, so recognized, so seen, and fully owning, right? So your ownership is deeply rooted into your posture and creating from there. What do they need to know? What do they need to see? Right? Think about the puzzle picture again. And creating from that place. Owning the fact that because of your work, you are where you are. I feel like we so often forget that, and we get into, like we've noted today, the imposter syndrome. But what has gotten you where you are? What do you love the most about your work and how you've been able to get where you are? Like I could literally just like rhyme off thousands of prompts for this stuff, but it's really important that you sit and think about those things when you're creating your content and offering value and pulling the curtain back and actually letting them see you so they can desire to pay you, so they can feel invested. So for some clients, this looks like some of my clients have a harder time sitting down to actually batch this and see it all through. And so one thing I've recommended that's really worked for like Freedom Society members is having like a two hours pockets where it's like, okay, I create the photo, line up all the photos. We love the app called Preview. Line up all my content in there. Okay. So if you need to create a graphic, if you want to add text on a photo, if it's reels, so you want to create all the reel covers, whatever it is, do the creation. And then another segment of time where you can sit down and do the meat and potatoes, the caption, right? Where you can get anchored into your ownership, where you can like really allow yourself to speak with that oomph. We call it spice. Bring that spice of who you actually are, what you actually see, what you actually value, not the watered down version of you or somebody else. And own the work that you do. This one shift, I wouldn't even be able to count. I wouldn't. How many clients have just started with that and seen a radical difference? Suddenly you're getting all these DMs. I don't know why, but I need to hire you. And suddenly you're on my heart. I can't stop thinking about you. Because now they actually see you. They feel you. And they also feel when you're not there. Now let me know before we get into the last two, which are marketing and selling, and then your devotion. So let me know if you have any questions around selling your offers, what's been coming up for you around selling your offers. Oh, what app? Okay, so Preview. I have it on my on my laptop as well as my phone. It's just like a little square with a bunch of different colored squares in it. Does that make sense? It's amazing for content planning and creation. Also, when I'm out, so I always have, as you guys know, like I always have photos. So we just have photos from our photo shoots in there. And the last little bit, obviously, so I think we're up to 3 or 4 weeks right now planned. And so it's all in there. But above that is all just extra photos. And so if I'm out, if I'm in the car, if I'm out for a walk, if I'm at the gym and a thought comes through, I can just click on a random photo, dump something in the caption, put the bullet points of things I want to make sure I note on, save it, and I can go back later when I'm actually batching. So I love the convenience of that app. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. What shifted for you when you felt in full ownership of your work in the online space? What shifted for you? Do you mean, Tammy, do you mean what shifted in terms of like what helped me do that? Or what actually happened when I did that? Both. Okay, so I was finally doing business my freaking way. I was actually doing what I wanted, what I seen, what I believed, because I had been ignoring that for so long, right? For the first 9 months, I truly thought I had to run my business this like super hustle, masculine driven way where I couldn't be embodied in both my feminine and masculine, where I couldn't actually be all of me. And which I just truly didn't align with, like I shared. And then restructuring my business and getting myself feeling so certain in that time frame too. I want to emphasize this. So in that little gap, it was like literally over a course of 30 days, I just like burned it down, rebuilt, and we had our first 32K month after being stuck at 12K months. Okay. So the power of you actually listening to yourself is very powerful, as well as in those 30 days, I had finally started to recognize myself, which changed how I spoke in my marketing, right? Changed how I owned what I was doing, how I allowed myself to be transparent, how I allowed myself to be authentic. It changed everything that I did. And once I changed that, so once I really got activated in my ownership, I want to make sure I'm reading this correct. Yeah, in full ownership. Once I was at, it became, so we talked about the normalization process. It slowly became normal. It slowly became second nature. That's why now, like anybody could fire anything over to me about like what they're doing, what they're stuck on. I'm like, oh, here, this, and this, and this, and I can extract it so easily, or help you extract it with prompts, right? Like it's completely second nature now. And I remember when we created Six Figure Coach, so a couple of years ago now, I remember being like, what do they actually need to make 6 figures? Like what's actually needed? And this was the biggest piece. Outside of obviously having the structure in place, you want to treat your business like a business. Okay. If you're not, you're going to have the experience of it not being like a business. So the sooner you do that, the sooner you value that, the sooner you invest your time and energy and resources into that, the sooner you can master the next component, which is selling. And a huge component of your selling and what's likely missing, I could almost guarantee it, is your ownership. Right? Actually activating yourself behind your offers, what you do, who you are. Okay. So that when you speak about it and your posture is so clear and so potent and so clean and so strong, it can't help but create safety for others to lean into that, to trust that, to borrow your certainty in a time where they feel uncertain. Think about that. To borrow your motivation when they don't have it. Think about being in any type of space. Okay. To borrow your trust in this process while they build their own. So far, I've been offering live events. I feel like I should charge more for some offerings, and I don't. For instance, a fertility retreat, and then I didn't sell any tickets at all, even at my lower price point. And you had probably thank you for being transparent with this with us, because oftentimes when we already feel like we aren't being compensated, like the energetic exchange does not match what we actually want, is not going to happen anyways, right? Like it can't happen. How can that happen? So something that I would think about too is like, what am I actually, go back to the beginning, what am I actually available for? Do I actually want to run these live is where I would start. Where is there any resistance? Let's clear that path. How do I actually want to run these? And if it's live, that's beautiful. That's fine if that's what's working for you. Is there a different way that I could see this through that would be more supportive to me and to them? Right? Could I offer virtual classes where they get the replay because some people have a life and can't make it to the event or to the live or whatever? Like, just really get curious of how you would like to see that through. And then from there, it's like, well, what price makes sense? What am I available for? And you know what I mean? Like, where are my people at too? I feel like there's so many factors when it comes to pricing. We can't just, I feel like the industry got to the, I had this conversation with a client the other day. She's like, I don't want to see another angel number. Like, I feel like we got to the point where it's like, I can just slap an angel number on this and it's going to sell. No, like, it has to feel good for you. It has to feel good for them. Like, it has to make sense for the exchange. There's lots of components from an energetic and a logical standpoint. Do you set aside time each day to create content? Absolutely not. What if you are not in the flow of it? How do you shift this? Okay, so to those of you with a menstruating body on this, ovulation phase is my absolute favorite time to batch content. I literally put it in advance in my calendar, okay? If not, then I make sure that it's at a point where I know I'm going to be nourished. A Monday, a Thursday or Friday, because I don't really work Thursdays or Fridays. That's when I do like this or, you know, hit the beach. That's when I would plan these. So a Thursday morning sometimes makes awesome content creation days for me. A Monday morning as well, where I can wake up, I can go to the gym or a walk or walk the beach. I can cold plunge or sit in the cold shower, red light. I can make sure that I am nourished. I'm not feeling rushed. I'm not feeling frazzled. I'm regulated. Then I can sit down, I can journal. So I will usually recognize myself, see myself, have a little mini dance party, a somatic exercise of some sort, one of the above. I'm not doing every single one of these things, guys. Every time I'm batching content, I'm making sure that when I sit down, wherever I sit down, I am feeling activated, nourished, excited, and certain. Okay. So I would say 1 to 2 times a month to do that. It really does just depends. Well, for sure, probably 2 for 4 weeks. While you like kind of compound that. Remember, all the things you're doing are going to compound because every piece of content can also be turned into another piece of content. Right? There's so much in what we have to share. There's so much in your story. There's so much. We have a program called Exception, and it's all about turning your story into content and like actually fully living to the point where you actually have something to say at the end of the day. Like, you are leading yourself from such a clean and clear place on a daily basis. And because you are the representation of the outcome that you teach, you can't help but have something really powerful and intentional to say at the end of your day. Because if you have nothing to reflect on after today, did you live? Do you actually embody and represent the work that you do? And when we start getting curious about that and asking ourselves that and looking at our calendar, am I offering myself the time, the space, the ability to do that? A lot will change. And when you sit down, so I did this a couple times literally to experiment. And so if you sit down at the end of your day and you're like writing out a reflection from your day, and you're doing it from obviously your highest place and a place of authority in the sense of like you're activated in who you are in this space because you are your own authority, then, and I would reread it and be like, oh my gosh, but I can take this part and now I have another idea for another piece of content. And oh, now that like there's so much. Every single thing that you intentionally create can be recreated in multiple ways. I can guarantee it. So let me know if that helps on the content front. But I had a client recently come in that was spending 2 hours a day creating content. Okay. So that's obviously not sustainable as you scale. Okay. And she's doing pretty well in business, but wants to over double what she's doing. I'm like, that is a bottleneck. That has to go. Like, we have to be a lot more intentional about that. So what does that look like? That looks like batching. That looks like getting intentional about the content, right? Paying attention. What's converting? What do they want to hear more of? What can we tweak? This also gives me the ability to lean in and give her any feedback on a daily basis in terms of what we're working on. For her, we were working on her ownership, right? Making sure that she was actually owning the offers, that her audience actually knew that they existed, that they knew why she created them. Right. Let me know if anything else is coming up around content, sharing that when it comes to bringing your ownership forward. When it comes to the selling piece, though, it really, like, I don't believe in launch plans. You guys know this now. I have yet to ever follow one. Okay. I have no issue selling. So if you are stuck on that loop, if you're like chasing launch strategies, you can let all that go and remember everything is marketing and use your own discernment, right? Nothing is urgent. Nothing needs to be made from a place of fear, but instead from a place of certainty. So keeping your train on the tracks, keeping yourself plugged into yourself will be the most effective way to make sure that you feel good, that you feel clean, that you feel clear. But your selling comes back to your ownership and your willingness to be seen so you can become highly paid. And this isn't a play like this whole like, oh, look at me, you know, this is what I'm doing. It's more of like, this is what I stand for in my world. This is what my mission is. This is what I believe. This is how I teach it. This is why I teach it this way. You know, this has been my unique experience in my journey, because everything you're doing is an extension of your journey at some extent. Okay. Even every single one of my naturopathic doctor clients, every single one of my nutrition clients, fitness clients, they all have a different perspective. They all have a different approach. They have all been through a different journey. They all have stronger, like, skill sets that are stronger than others in different areas. So your willingness to be seen for that. Okay. To actually allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be transparent and authentic. Okay. Not from a place of pressure, but from a place of, hey, I'm willing to pull the curtains back. Owning your journey, your story, your beliefs, your values, and your approaches, if you guys want to note that. So one of my favorite things, because we have a little list of Q&As, and it was funny because a lot of them were the same. One of them was, and I'm going to bring it up right now, how to consistently have clients coming in. And what I would ask a client right away, how consistently are you selling? And how often do we hide from that? So let me know if that just hit your gut. Because we love the idea of being like, I have this offer. Here it is, join. But like, is there anything connected to that? Like, does your audience actually feel anything to do with it? We have what's called like a 6 steps to selling. And it's like all about bringing, I should almost do a live event on that itself, because it's all about like creating, like bringing your clients into a story. Like, they want to feel connected. They want to feel value, right? We know these things. So what can they know about you and your ownership? What can they know about a process you teach, why you teach it that way? What can they know in a storytelling format and bring it around to your offering? Don't just slap your offer up there. You guys see it every day. Like, watching my stories is a prime example. Sharing a story or reflection on something and bringing it around to the work that you do, because you are the extension of the work that you do. And if you're not a representation of that, if you're not in clean leadership, you will struggle with that. You will be like, well, I have nothing to say today. And that's your opportunity, your invitation to clean that up, to come back into that, and to prioritize living, as Courtney said earlier, right? Living the work that you do, letting them in, letting them see it, letting them feel it. That's the big piece. So when it comes to the actual selling factor, I prioritize selling every single day. Every single day. I have to hop off, but I cannot wait to watch this again. Oh, Kaylin. Okay. I'm so glad. Have a great day. when it comes to the selling piece, like I sell every single day. Do I sell aggressively? Am I down your throats? No. I mean, hopefully it doesn't feel that way because I don't intentionally do it that way. But every day I'm showing up and I'm either passively or directly selling. Passively looks like your representation. Are you representing what you do? Is it clear that you are actually living the outcome of what you teach? If you're a hormone coach, that you're regulated, that you've been able to clear your skin, that you're so happy you can go out without makeup on, that you, I don't know, you just had a really normal menstrual period, like a cycle. Like if you're a business coach, is there a certain way that you do business that changed the way you feel throughout the day? There's literally so many ways in which you could be passively selling. I talk all the time about my morning activations, how I take that time to support myself. And that I absolutely love using the resources that we have for you inside of our vault. And I'm not like, these are all the details, buy here, buy here, buy here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love my morning activation this morning that we have in wealthy self-identity, right? Like passive. And then the other components would be directly selling, storytelling, letting them in a little bit, a piece of your journey, right? And how you got where you are and how that's why you're so passionate about the work that you do. How simple is that? And how can we calm the logical part of our brain that is constantly searching for a how? So one thing I tell a lot of my clients, especially the generator and managing clients, as soon as you feel a how, click the off button and come into your body just for a minute, right? Go back into your body. It's not always about a how. It's about who are you and how do you want to feel and what are you creating? And how can you share about that? And then bring that around to the offer. The offer is always relevant. The offer is it always makes sense. I feel like sometimes too, we're like, oh, well, it's not connected. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, your offer is always connected. Your offer is an extension of you, something that you do, you teach, you preach, you believe in. And if you have a coaching business, a personal brand, a mentorship, practitioner business, whatever it is, it's connected. It's always connected. But what's usually missing, and I'm sure you guys are guessing it now, is that ownership piece. Your willingness to actually own the offer, why you love it, why you created it, how you wouldn't probably be who you are today without that work. When was the last time you actually talked about that? To allow people, okay, so here's another thing too. Allow people to see themselves in your story. That's why I really believe in storytelling content. That's why I really believe in ownership and representation. Ooh, it just started pouring here. That's why I believe in all of that. Because it allows your audience, your humans, to see themselves in that story. Remember how earlier we talked about like letting them borrow your certainty, let them borrow your trust, let them borrow anything, motivation, anything it is in that container. Borrow proof. They also need that. They need to borrow that proof so that they can feel it for themselves. Right, I'm not crazy for wanting this. Like she tells me every single day how possible this is. She has tons of examples every single day of how possible it is for other people. I can borrow this. I know that I can do this. So how can you utilize storytelling to remember that this is an opportunity to do 3 things? Build trust, build connection, and offer proof all at once. And instead we complicate, I got to hit all the trigger points. I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm like, no. Tell your story, own your offer, own the outcome. Watch your community change. Bottleneck. What are the assets, components we need to build or have in place in order to help the selling process flow? Offer, landing page, links, space, etc., supported by this energy and ownership. Amazing. Okay, so I'm not a huge, I just want to make sure I'm catching all these points. I'm not a huge, like, oh, have a landing page for every offer type of person. It depends too on the price point of when they're coming in. So what your signature process looks like, what your offer, your business model itself, how it's set up and what that looks like. But we have an application, okay? And in that application, you can fill it out. And I am able to then have my eyeballs on everything that's going on and responsibly lead you to the right container and have that conversation with you. That to me I've done that for almost 3 years now. Like it's simple, it's clean, it's effective. I'm able, like some clients just want to have a DM conversation. I'm perfectly fine with that. Other clients want to have, a 20-minute application call. I'm also cool with that. Right. But fill out the application, make sure you're serious. And I need to know you before I do that. Right. I want to be deeply invested into your vision, who you are, while we have that conversation, because it's the only intentional way in my eyes. If not, then you're going back and forth for ages. And I think sometimes honestly, a lot of people complicate sales. I had this conversation recently too, where I said, I'm a big believer in momentum. I'm also like, I'm a big believer in it and being able to compound it, right? For ourselves, for others, depending on the line of work. And so if someone comes to you eager and like, they know that they want to move forward, don't make that more hard than it has to be. Okay, let's have a quick conversation about it. Let's make sure we both feel good going forward. And if we're in agreements of that, let's move. Done. Like we don't have to complicate it. So she's having this 3-day long DM conversation. I'm like, we could have cleared that up in 20 minutes. She could already be seeing things differently, which is where all transformation starts in our mind, right? So that's my perspective on sales, is how can I make this easy? So what's a process that would work for you with your offerings? That's the first place I would go. So like, what would work for me? Okay, well, depending, if you want it to, Brady, you can let us know like what kind of offerings you have if you want. But having a process where you can say, hey, go here, like a clean, clear call to action, DM me this word, and you know that you're going to do X, Y, Z after they DM you that word, or go here and fill this out, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z after that. Cleaning up that sales process will give you a lot more certainty in your mind too, of like, okay, I know what happens after I sell. I know what happens when they reach out for the sale, and I know how to see the sale through. I don't have to be in my head. Right. My nervous system doesn't have to crank up for that. Like it's all cool as a cucumber. And it feels so good. So I would say if you have something that's like passive, like you're not involved in it at all, yeah, you could probably have a landing page. I mean, we have a landing page for Freedom Society, but I still it just all happens in my DMs. We had a actual like really nice website for 1.5 years, and never used it. Literally just never used it. So I got rid of we canceled it. So now we just have a couple landing pages, but don't create a belief that anything is necessary to make the sale. I have clients closing 10K sales, 12K sales with nothing other than a DM approach and a call approach. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say if any of you really are selling, you're welcome. If any of you are selling anything, that's the next thing to sit with is, do I feel clear on the process of seeing it through? From the moment I post the content to the moment of welcoming them into the container, right? This is where some clients would be like, oh, like I just feel a lot of resistance here. That's where you want to get curious. Because where could you possibly be sabotaging what you actually want from happening? What can we shift? What can we remove is my favorite question, but what would need to happen? And explore that. I love too that you guys have been like rocking out with me for 1.5 hours now. This is so fun. And then the last piece, so keep the questions going too. If this is bringing up certain questions, you guys know I want the specific, I love giving you guys specific examples. So ask, but your devotion to something outside of instant gratification. It's a stingy one, but something that I've seen a lot last year is, we went into this industry in the last, 2.5 years where we started to really chase that instant gratification. And we started to get really wobbly and like so many common themes around this, like really getting wobbly, second guessing, just getting really dysregulated around not having that instant gratification that we want from, throwing all these low ticket offers just to get a quick DM that says I'm in, and just making it mean so much. How can you create that feeling for yourself every single day, really supporting your devotion to something bigger? I said at the beginning of the call, those of you that have joined us a little later, you're going to love the first half. Your highest cash month just requires 1 to 4 solid cash days. sales days. And yet we're putting insane pressure on ourselves every single day and making it mean something if we didn't get a sale that day. I've made $30,000 in one day and $0 in a week. And I'm not over here being like, there goes everything. Like, it's okay. Do I trust myself? Do I trust myself to do what I have to do, to consistently show up and be devoted to something bigger than myself? Just like you would have loved, like a loved one, a partner. You would wake up and you choose them. Choose your vision every single day. Choose what you're building. Choose what you want to see through. Choose it. Really remembering that as long as you are seeing it through and you're actually selling as much as you want to have sales and you're owning as much as you would like to have sales, that can dramatically change how you approach your business, knowing it just takes 1 to 3 days of the month. Don't give the date, the number of the date, don't give any of it a meaning. But have your daily method of operations, have something that you're consistently devoted to. Keep your blinders up, your train on its tracks. Okay. I would say honestly, every single client, or maybe let's say 93, let's not put everybody in a box, but 93% of clients that come into my world are like, I'm constantly worrying about the next sale. Like I go to bed thinking about it and I wake up thinking about it. I'm like, that's not living. Right. And then that becomes felt. Regardless of how hard we try for it to not be, it's felt. So how can we shift our beliefs? How can we recognize ourselves? So a perfect example, you know how I gave you guys those examples earlier about how to recognize yourself in the morning and see yourself and truly actually activate yourself before you go hoping to receive that externally. You can also check in with your beliefs. So you can write down beliefs that you want to make sure you're normalizing for yourself that day as well. You can speak them out loud if you're not a person for journaling. I just instantly go to that example because that's what I do, but that's where you want to go with it. My content is felt. People feel me when I'm on and off the screen. My ownership is so clean, so clear, so strong that it's desired. It's highly paid. People love the fact that I'm so different. As you guys know, I don't really follow in suit with many of my peers. And I had to get really comfortable owning that, being seen for that. So those are our 6 key points. Okay, we went over beliefs, mindset, normalization, money beliefs, sales beliefs. We went over clarity, which creates certainty, which is then embodied as your ownership. We went over offer, how I love my offer setup, unapologetic ownership, marketing, selling in your devotion. You're going to notice this isn't a lot of things. You're actually not far from 5K months at all. And as we talked about earlier, that 5K month quickly compounds to 20K months when you're devoted, when you're seeing it through and letting that compound. If you have anywhere from $1,000 offer to $7,000 offer, let's just say, and you're consistently selling it and your goal is to bring 4 people into that a month. Okay, well, think about how quickly that would compound, even when they're on a payment plan. Say they come in for a 3-month program, they're paying a 3-month payment plan at $1,000 a month. And you're decided that you're available for 4 months. That's what you want your capacity to be. That's where you're at right now. What, depending where you're at, it might be bigger. What would that actually mean? Your offer is set up to receive that. Energetically, you're available to receive that. Your sales process is clean, helps you feel alive, nourished, but also get connected to the people coming into your world, which is so important. And you know what to do on the back end for your daily method of operations to consistently see that through. That's it. And I really hope that this helped just kind of clear the fog, help you see what is so possible and how simple it really truly can be. I am so excited for everybody to get this replay as well. Let's open up Q&A. Like, I want to get right into it with you guys. Thank you. This has been awesome and helpful. I'm so glad. So one of the questions, I'm going to go over these and you guys can drop any in the chat that you have coming up. So we had about 7 of the same question around consistent sales, consistent client coming in. It's all the same. Make sure you have an offer that actually allows consistent sales. This is the first bottleneck. I see it every single day. Every time someone's coming in, we are restructuring how you deliver your offers, how your offers are set up, and where the price points are at. Okay, so make sure that that's actually, is my structure in place for what I want? Go there. After that, what is my daily method of operations? What does that look like? Is it actually supporting the outcome I want? Am I seeing it through? Check in with yourself, your leadership, your responsibility. Once you're clear on all of those things, it's a matter of, am I selling as much as I would like to receive sales? And am I allowing them to see me as much as I would like them to pay me? Okay. How can I set myself apart from others doing similar work? And I feel like everyone probably should have the answer to this one now that we have had this incredible conversation today. This would be your ownership. This would be your journey. This would be your values, your perspectives, and your approaches. This would also be a matter of taking the train out of distraction land and putting it back on the tracks of who you are, what you're building, where you're going, and start driving. Lead yourself, get in the right places, absorb the right things, learn what you have to learn, and do the things. Okay. I don't know if that's resonating. Okay, an expert in one field, dance teacher, and I'm very confident of my abilities as a dance coach, which is skills-based, but also touches upon confidence, feminine sensuality, mindset, boldness. But I'm unable to translate this self-confidence to grow into my role as a coach, which isn't skills-based, but is more about guidance. I have a fear of coming across as a newbie and that what I say won't resonate or what I won't know what to say. Okay, so this all comes back to your ownership. Like, I wouldn't worry about being a newbie. I would be worried about, am I actually letting them see what I value, what I know, what I desire to support clients with? I made a story this morning, like, don't just hire me to make a bunch of money. Like, I don't actually even care about that. Like, I want to help you build a wealthy life, one that you're actually not chasing money for the rest of your life, but like actually know how to create it. And I could be 4 days into my business and say that. That doesn't, it's what I believe. It's what I want. It's what I stand for. It's who I am. Day 1 or year 1 or year 4, like, it doesn't matter. You want to remember, when you're building this movement, when you're building this community, when you're building this mission, it's about that. Remove the timelines, remove the pressure, remove the stories, and truly come back to, who am I? What am I standing for? What do I believe? What do I see through? What do I help clients with? Another perfect way to storytell and provide that proof and that connection and that trust with your community, with your audience, would be storytelling, not on your journey, but on journeys that you've helped clients through, their unique journeys, right? What has that looked like? Helping them see themselves in their shoes, especially if that journey is maybe different than yours. I know every single one of the clients that come to my world are unique in their journey and their desires and their values and all the things. And I'm sure it's similar in every industry. Okay. Anything else? I feel like everything else has been touched on. I don't want to just keep repeating for the sake of the replay, because I really hope that you guys are able to, if you've timestamped while we've while we've chatted, if you've made notes, if you're waiting for the replay to make the notes, I cannot wait to hear what transpires after this for you, what takes place. Please let us know, keep us updated. The replay will go out within 48 hours. Like, my goal is to have it to you before the weekend. I know some of you, obviously, given the topic we're talking about today, still have jobs outside of the home or are busy, and that's very fair. So we'll get that to you and everything you will need. Quick question about money. Ooh, I'm all ears. Yes.
I had to get up to go to the restroom. I would love to, if you're open to it, I'd love to receive a few prompts on how to explore, like, wealth in terms of the nervous system state, to really, like, reverse the safety that's experienced in insecurity.
Like the lack of safety that happens in insecurity.
Yeah, it's like so like lack of security is so normalized in my nervous system that security feels unsafe,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like how to prime the nervous system to receive like 30K in a day. Like when you said that, it's like holy shit, right? Like
Yeah.
really expansive, really spacious, and like my nervous system was like, wow, so different, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. I love that. Okay. So at the beginning too, we talked about the normalization period. So like your willingness to decide what you're available for. I think a lot of times we've got like the magnifying glass. So like we're investigating everything instead of to making sure that we're actively normalizing something different for our nervous system, right? It's not going to happen with just one journal session. It's going to happen as you begin to consistently choose it and create safety into it. So deciding what you're unavailable for and why you're unavailable for it and releasing it. And then what I would do right away is go into the decision of what am I available for? What will that mean for me? Why do I crave this? And what does that feel like? So 30K day might be a stretch. So maybe it's like a 5K day, right? Like we obviously don't, we have to work our way there. Like I didn't just start at 30K months. You guys know this. Um, so, or 30K days or any of it. Like I started was like, this would be so cool to make 5K a month. Like you imagine? And I had to normalize 2K, 4K, 5K, 8K. Like I had to normalize it. So every single day, my favorite exercise that I would recommend to anybody is making sure that you're like some way or shape or another. I think you do a lot of breath work too, right? Yeah. So like finding ways to like release what you don't want anymore from your body and also creating and being in that state of feeling safe with the idea of X 5K days, 5K months, 10K months. Giving your nervous system, giving your body, and giving even our logical mind the opportunity to normalize it on every single level. Like it's just becoming who you are. This is actually the only thing I'm available for. Earlier, I gave the analogy of like everything we're unavailable for goes over here in this corner and we keep our train on the tracks, right? As it becomes more and more and more and more distant, what we're wanting becomes more normalized. But it's that willingness of like, even in a micro moments, like I was talking to my, like the Freedom Society members, I think it was last month, it was a big theme. And I said, even every time you change your environment. So let's say this morning I took my kids to school and I come home or I get in the car after drop off even, and I'm like, I'm breathing and I'm regulating myself again. And I'm coming back to what do I want? What do I do? Right? All the things that are going to create a different feeling inside of my body and keep my train on its tracks instead of distracting me. Right. I could have right away been like, okay, now I have to get home. I commute them 20 minutes one way. I got to get home. I got to do this and this and this and this and this. No, I'm like, what do I want? Who am I? What am I building? And suddenly you've got like this little pet and like, you're just feeling so different. So for me, it really was, I remember like I had literally had a baby and a toddler and I would be doing anything, anytime I switched my environment, I would think about that 4K a month. What would that mean? Right? What would I do? Who would I be? How would I act? And really begin to normalize that. Biggest things for me were always journaling and visualizations. So that is why like we have a lot of resources on that end. There's like audios and things for you to really bring yourself back into that. But it will always take the discernment and the responsibility of seeing it through. So daily, if you can, daily.
I I love that. And something that's coming up for me is it's like where has my focus been? And if my focus isn't on what I want or where I desire to go, it's certainly been somewhere in the past that is related to this like hypervigilance, right?
Mhm.
And so thank you for sharing that. And because the other thought that really comes to mind too is how do I know how do I feel where I perceive that I've never been? Or how do I feel what I perceive that I've never had?
Yeah.
And uh and what I've noticed, regardless of those thoughts, is when I'm focused on where I want and where I desire to go, the feeling is there. That spaciousness is just there. And so, where is my focus?
Mhm.
That's really what's standing out right now.
I hope everybody picks up on that. One thing I always tell, when you're just having, like we use Voxer and I'll be like, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm like, what are you thinking about today? If you feel blah, let me tell you, you are thinking about shit you don't want. Like, I'll tell you right now. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I'm like, like take 5 minutes, slow down to speed up again, right? We want to avoid so much. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It's a matter of being so intentional. Yeah, I love that. Where is your focus? What are you thinking about? So good.
Yeah.
That's, oh, sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, I was just gonna say thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the question. So good. I think that also when it comes to our creativity, like that's another area where it's like, well, I don't know what I would say. I don't know what to story tell on. I'm like, have you even been in self-reflection? Have you been thinking about what you want, where you've been, what you do? What have you been thinking about? And so often our minds are just like running rampant, right? Uncontrolled. And you're going to get where you want when you learn to control it. At the end of the day. Yeah. I still there's podcast episodes too. Like I still remember the process of my first 8K month and how I had it on like sticky notes and I had it beside my trackpad. I had it on a bathroom mirror. Like I remember so much of my normalization process. And every single time I felt ready for a new baseline, it took another period of being willing to see it through and normalize it till it's there and appreciate it when it is there. So it's a journey. It takes commitment, but it's so freaking worth it. Okay. I hope that you guys have gotten a lot from this. I also hope that, oh yeah, Kate.
Hi, Candice. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's been really, really amazing. I have a question also related to money and normalization. And so my biggest thing is that I'm originally from Russia and I now live in Spain. So it's a very different level of income of people who are around me and always been around me. And so, yeah, these numbers that people throw online, it's even when I say, yeah, it's like 1,000 a month, I'm like, oh my God, most people I know don't even make it in a month, you know? And online people paid for coaching. So, I mean, I see it online. I know it's real. I talk to people, but for me, for my nervous system, it's so unreal that it's really hard for me to imagine even like, can I charge that? Who are these people who can pay me? Where can I find these people? Yeah.
Okay, you guys, I feel like everyone will really resonate with this. What I would recommend starting with, we have a program called Becoming Wealthy, and it's all about like the energetics of normalizing a wealthy self, obviously. Write down all of the stories you have. I feel like a lot of that, what's causing the dysregulation is a connection to a story that you've obviously allowed to play in the mind, which we've all done. So I would always bring the story to light, and then I would follow that and like really breathing into that, not just like doing it to do it. I forgive myself for allowing myself to believe that X had to be true. I forgive myself for allowing myself to judge myself for holding back because the people around me weren't exploring what's possible for them. Really work on like, I allow myself to forgive myself, blank. And really release any of those old stories so that basically what has to happen here now, Kate, is like, okay, I'm clear on that. I have to be okay owning who I am and what I want, and also be totally okay that they're owning who they are and what they know to be normal. And I have to be willing to be okay with them being uncomfortable. But make sure it's not a story you're running with. Maybe it's not making them uncomfortable. Maybe it's just that you're worried about what they might think. And if that's the case, create a truth. So that's something I would journal about every day when I recognize myself, would be something along the, I've had like a lot of clients have had to do this too. This is just also normal. I really want to normalize the fact that like we become so programmed, right? But it's actually safe for me to explore my highest potential and show the people in my life what's possible. Maybe I'm meant to go first. Maybe that's why it's so strong in my soul and not in theirs yet. Maybe that's why I'm being guided to do this before them. I'm meant to go first. And really build the trust with your timing too.
Yeah. Thank you. It's really resonant. I mean, I've been doing it in my whole life already, like going first in so many different areas of life. So maybe it's just, that's what it is. That's what I need to do in this life.
Also something like, maybe there's something in that for you too. Like, is that a piece of your identity that you need to strengthen, of like, I am a leader. Like, it's okay to be a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. It's really helpful.
Good. I am so glad. Yeah. Anything money topics, you guys know. That's my jam. Okay. I'm going to, as long as there's nothing else, you guys do pop on if you have anything lingering. And we are going to wrap this up. Like I said, my goal, get this to you before the weekend. If any of you guys are feeling the pull to have additional support, have access to our perspectives, our teachings, our approaches in our vault, we will be sending out an application as well. This just, like I said, starts the conversation so I know where you're at and what would be the best fit for you so we can have an intentional conversation. In the meantime, happy owning. I hope that we end this call and you're able, I don't know what your day looks like, but you're able to offer yourself 15 minutes to just sit with that and journal a little bit about who you actually are and what you stand for, and see how creative you begin to feel and what that does for you. So excited. Tammy, I'm sending you so much love. Okay. I love you all. I am so grateful that you have hung out with me for 2 hours. And I will see you all very soon. Okay. Take care.